How's it going, Rams fans? Welcome into another episode of the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. I'm your host, Tom Cavanaugh. Today is November 13th, a Wednesday here in 2024. This is episode number 10. We finally hit double digits for our newfound podcast here on the Fans First Sports Network. I want to give a huge shout out to them and also do Sports Illustrated. You can follow myself, Tom Cavanaugh, at TCav30 on Twitter/X. And then stay on that same app or head over to Facebook and follow our insider page at Rams Insider on SI. Or if you just want the real thing and you want it straight from the source, just go in your search bar and type in Los Angeles Rams on SI, and you'll be able to find all of our articles every single day, about a dozen or so per day that we have from all of our sensational writers. We're going to talk about a few different things today. On the pod, it's going to be a little bit of cleanup from the Dolphins' loss back on Monday Night Football, and then we're going to take a look at some of the power rankings that several different publications came out with today, talking about just kind of the outlook of the NFL season, which teams are trending up, which are down, and right now everybody has the Rams trending down. Some have them outside of the top 20, which is very hard to believe with how much mediocrity we're seeing in the NFL over the last couple of years. I mean, the top half from the bottom half of the league is very, very significantly different. We'll get to that in a minute. I want to start with cleaning up this game against the Dolphins. We talked all day yesterday about Josh Carty having a nice game because he was utilized so much. The Rams offense unable to really get going at all. 0 for 3 in the red zone, 3 of 12 on third down. Haven't seen those numbers that bad all year for this Rams team. It had to be their worst offensive game of the season, no doubt. And I think McVay would tell you that too. But there was one really bright spot that went underappreciated. Did not catch it post-game, but found it on Twitter/X just yesterday. So Matthew Stafford, I mean, he's been climbing the ladder when it comes to all-time accolades within the grand scheme of the NFL, but now he gets one within his own franchise. So he had 32 completions, had 14 incompletions, but those 32 helped surpass Kurt Warner, who played for the St. Louis Rams back from 98 to 2003. He passes Kurt Warner for fifth most all-time in completions by a Rams quarterback in franchise history. It's very, very impressive for Matthew, considering he's only played 3.5 seasons as a Los Angeles Ram. Kurt Warner played 6 years. Jared Goff, he is in fourth currently with about 300 or so more than what Stafford has now. And Goff spent more time here. So Stafford, I mean, he has really, it goes so underappreciated what he's able to do at such an old age. 36 years old. He's in his 16th year in the league. But no surprise why he was the number 1 overall draft pick back in 2009 by the Detroit Lions. Continuing to stay consistent, the longevity, the ability to stay healthy for this long, and also give your team the best chance at winning. I don't know if the Rams would want anybody else at quarterback unless your name was Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, or Josh Allen. Stafford is the guy, and he's been that way ever since he came up into the league. One of the toughest, most hard-nosed guys. I remember back, I mean, as a Lions fan, back in the day when he separated his shoulder, said, screw it, I'm staying in the game, and then jumped the pile for the game-winning touchdown. I saw that and went, this dude is for real. You'll have to yank him off the football field for him to ever stop playing, and that's what we're seeing from Matthew. So the ability to get an achievement like that, reach inside the top 5 in Rams history in 3.5 seasons, is very, very, very impressive. Other than that, I mean, there's no really other big bright spots that we can point out and look at. Listening to comments from most of the team, I mean, Puka, he was saying that the team was, just out of rhythm a little bit offensively. They did not execute. Christian Roseboom, the linebacker, with an interception in his 4th year. He was talking about getting off the field, which is something that the Rams struggled to do. Now, they did hold to several field goals during the game for the Dolphins, but they did allow Miami to score on every single possession of the second half. Not going to win ball games doing that. Just ask the Detroit Lions after what they did against the Texans this past Sunday night, allowing 0 second-half points and being able to come back in that one. So, I mean, the Rams might have had a chance, but because they gave up a couple field goals and a touchdown in the second half, they just too little too late. Their offense did not have the juice. So they'll look forward to next week, going to be taking on a New England Patriots team that is also struggling, but coming off a win. We mentioned this stat yesterday. New England, they took down the Bears with 9 sacks. Something that the Rams need to pay attention to this week in practice. They got Steve Avila back. They got Jonah Jackson back. Joe Noteboom's on that line as well. 3 guys that have spent time dealing with injuries this season have been limited on the field. They're all back and healthy. For Jackson and Avila, this was their first week back. Stafford acknowledged that in his post-game comments, talking about they got to get back into the rhythm, which is understandable. Back to game speed just immediately after a couple days of practice. It doesn't really work like that in the NFL. So I expect a better week from those two. The entire O-line themselves, because offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur and the rest of that coaching staff is going to do everything they can to be able to plug up that O-line. That front four needs to be stout this weekend because Stafford's going to need some time to throw. The Patriots are 3-7. They're a struggling team. The rest of this week, we're going to do a good job of identifying some of their key players on offense and defense, and then talking about some keys to victory for the Rams to get back to 500. Patriots are a good measuring stick test to see how this Rams team will respond after a disappointing loss. Do they fold over and their season's done, being 4-6, or do they fight back, claw their way to 5-5, and then look forward to teams like the Saints and the Jets on the schedule where they can continue to take advantage and maybe sneak in as a wild card or upend the Cardinals or the Niners and take the NFC West? We'll head over to Power Rankings now, looking at a few different publications that were ranking out the Rams heading into Week 11. We'll start with our very own Connor Orr on Sports Illustrated. He had the Rams at 21. He had them at 17 last week after they took down the Seahawks, just snuck in that top 20, and now they're just outside of it. Orr had this to say on his with his story. If you go over to on Sports Illustrated, you'll be able to find that. From Connor, he said, there are a lot of mediocre teams in the NFL right now, and the Los Angeles Rams find itself at the pinnacle, right on the edge of interesting and irrelevant after a gutting loss to the Dolphins at home on Monday Night Football. He says, this Sean McVay team is talented, and with the Patriots, Jets, and Saints on the schedule, it could be enough to trampoline the Rams into contention yet. That's true. Just mention those same teams because when you look at their next 3 or 4 games, I know they got the Eagles sandwiched in there, who's a pretty darn good team. You're looking at 3 or 4 more wins down the stretch. If you can get to a 9-win team being the Rams, it's not out of this world that you make a playoff spot. 9-8 can sometimes get you in, and it's happened before for this team. Let's head over to CBS. Pete Prisco, he has the Rams at number 18, just sneaking inside the top 20. He's got to be feeling okay about this Rams team considering they're inside 20. He had them at 15 a week ago. Very generous spot, even though the Rams were playing like one of the better teams in the upper echelon top half of the NFL. But he has them dropping down, and Pete had this to say. Like I said before, you guys can go check out all these articles. We have them hyperlinked in my Insider podcast article on the Rams Sports Illustrated site. So if you want to read them from the horse's mouth, go right ahead. But Pete had this to say. So much for that momentum they had from their 3-game winning streak. The offense did nothing in the loss to the Dolphins on Monday. Simple and plain. That is couldn't be more true. It's going to be up to this Rams team to prove Pete wrong and really turn the tide, find some offensive production next week, and just put that loss in the rearview mirror and don't even look back at what type of inconsistencies they had. NFL.com's Eric Edholm has them at 21, very similar to what Connor Orr from Sports Illustrated had them as. He goes on to say this was a tough one to lose at home, putting the Rams back below 500 after they crawled all the way back to even with 3 straight wins. They were miserable on third downs against the Dolphins, going 3-12 with 3 sacks and an interception. It was not a good day overall. Don't need to continue to harp on it, but I mean, that's why Edholm has them outside the top 20. And then the 33rd team's Marcus Mosher, number 18 overall in the NFL for the Rams. And he has them falling a couple of spots, had them just inside the top 20 this time. Had them a little bit lower than that last week by a few spots, but he bumps them up 2 spots. So he had them at actually 16 last week, and now he's put them up at 18. I'm surprised they're not out of the top 20 in that ranking as well. But He said, just a few words, the Los Angeles Rams are impossible to predict because their offense can look great in certain weeks, but it was downright awful in week 10. Could not be more true. I mean, this was a team that was reeling, looking incredible. Demarcus Robinson, who was very quiet in the Monday Night Football game, he's been incredible over the last couple of weeks. 4 touchdowns in his previous 2 games coming in. You had Cooper Kupp and Puka, who had good games. They just couldn't find the end zone. Those guys were going crazy. I mean, Stafford doing his thing, Kyron as well. They looked like one of the most dangerous offenses in the league. You had Dan Orlovsky on ESPN talking about it, saying this team had a shot at the Super Bowl. Andrew Whitworth on the Kay Adams show, he mentions that he's confident that his former team that he won a Super Bowl with in 2022 can win the NFC West. So, I mean, there's a lot of confidence in this team, but now it's starting to kind of trickle down after what happened this past weekend or this past week on a Monday. Sorry. It's going to be a big test this Sunday against the Patriots. If they come out flat and show a lot of what they did on Monday, it's not looking good for the rest of this season for the Rams. They're going to have to regroup and put on a stretch for the likes of what we've seen in the past from them. So, I mean, it's not out of this world that the Rams could go on a 5, 6, 7, 8 game winning streak to end the season, but it's going to be a lot tougher if they do come out and fall flat once again. I don't see that happening. I think the adjustments are going to be made because you have such a great staff around the players in Los Angeles. They're going to get right. I just feel it. Patriots are in for a tough one at home. Better be turning that lighthouse light on before dark because Stafford's going to be all over them. I just got a feeling about it. So that's going to do it for us here on the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. I'm your host, Tom Cavanaugh. We are going to have coverage all week long talking about this Patriots offense, their defense, keys to the game, and some players to watch out for on the Rams side as well. Thanks so much, everybody. This has been episode 10. We'll have number 11 for you tomorrow on a Thursday. This is Tom Cavanaugh saying so long